youngsters. Great chance here! That does it! Steve McGavin! And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak-out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, being held. There is Porter, and that's Maka!
Welcome to Beyond the Barside, the podcast that covers all things Colchester United. I am joined as ever by Si and Dave, and it is our first preview show of the season as Colchester United look to get to winning ways in the opening fixture away at Accrington Stanley. Here we go again. It's the opening day. Si, after all the summer recruitment, pre-season, and the Southampton Cup tie, how are you feeling that the League Two season's finally here?
Positive. I think it's that time of year because the weather's nice, nights are long, which obviously daylight. I think it's a positive time of year, so I'm in positive mood. Culture's going to do well. We're then going to go to Accrington, and on the way back I'll be straight away wondering why I've said all these really positive things because it's all gone horribly wrong. But yeah, I think it's always a good start to the season. If all the ifs, buts of pre-season are done, it's time to see what we do for real.
It certainly is, and a very nice philosophical way to start the podcast, Si. But Dave, Colchester United, albeit it's the first league game of the season, but we have had a competitive fixture already at home to Southampton. By all accounts, a pretty decent performance against a very decent Championship side. Does the performance against Southampton somewhat change your level of optimism at all going into the Accrington Stanley game?
No, it really has. Before that, I was a bit apprehensive. I was unsure. We were worried about depth, weren't we? And then we got Oscar Thorne in. We weren't sure how Oscar Thorne, what sort of condition he'd be in, but he's had a full pre-season. I saw in his interview he did with John Rawdon, so he has had a full pre-season, so it's and he looked sharp, so that was positive. I said in the preview pod, I think, or maybe the one before that, I wasn't entirely, hadn't been too impressed by Brad throughout the pre-season, but that's what pre-season's for, and he was absolutely superb against Southampton. So hopefully that's a bit of a line in the sand for him. He's got up to speed. Hopefully that's given him a lot of confidence. Like we said, he's been, understandably, considering his last 2 years, he looked like a guy that had a difficult couple of years. But yeah, he should really be feeling good about himself after that Southampton performance. And yeah, I'm feeling a lot more positive and just a bit different to Si. I'm hating this weather. Hating this weather.
It's
horrendous.
It's horrendous, and if anyone can hear either mine or Si's fans in the background, I apologise. We will hopefully try and get rid of that in post, but it is very warm, and I don't envy anyone making the long trip to Accrington, particularly if they don't have air conditioning in their vehicles, because that will be horrendous if the heat stays the way it is. But I digress. Question for both of you, really. What represents a good opening day here? I mean, is a point away from home acceptable given where we're going in terms of Accrington being quite far away geographically? The fact that the Colchester United squad isn't quite complete by Danny's own admission. There's still some recruitment that he'd like to do. Or should Colchester United be going to Accrington expecting to win? Si, I'll start with you.
I don't think you can go to the first game of the season away from home expecting to win. It'd be a very big-headed and kind of almost arrogant way of looking at things. We do tend to struggle at Accrington. It's never been a happy hunting ground. We don't normally have the best of opening days anyway, historically. So I don't want to start using excuse, the squad's not complete yet, because if that for a reason we don't get any more signings in, we've kind of set the bar for the season, if you like, and using that as an excuse, which we don't want to do too early on. But I think if we can go there, good performance, get a point, come home, use it as a building block, I'll be more than happy. I think it's to go and expect to win would be big headed. If we do win, obviously fantastic. But I think it's just to build on the Southampton game, put a good solid performance in, get a point on the road, and then look to the next 2 home games.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that history against Accrington, particularly away from home. It wasn't the easiest place to go last season, and it wasn't the best. Wasn't the best result for Colchester. It wasn't the best performance. But Dave, same question to you. Are you expecting to go and get the point? Or are you hoping to go all out and come away with 3?
When was, and I don't know the answer to this, which shows the amount of prep. When was the last time we won on opening day?
Well, if you refer to our Substat, last 5 opening days for Colchester United were outlined on there, so I should be aware of what our results are.
I know we haven't won the last 5.
Given that I wrote one, so
I'm trying to think. So I can't.
So is. I think.
I don't know when
Tranmere last year, didn't we? Won all.
Druid Tranmere, in the season before that,
We got 4-1.
So it was last year 1-1 Tranmere, AFC Wimbledon 4-2.
Yeah.
Then
what a feeling though, those first 9 minutes.
Then it was Colchester United Swindon, where it was the August washout. Then it was 3-2 defeat to Northampton. And then it was 0-0 away at Carlisle. So in the last 5 opening days, we haven't won.
Which is,
I mean,
looking at another table, go all the way back to the 2015-16 season. We've only drawn or lost.
Yeah, so what is this, 11? Is this the 11th year? So actually, since we got relegated,
10 years.
We've never won an opening day in League 2.
Well, there you go. That is
wow. What a stat we've just stumbled upon.
That's a stat.
I think the best stat we've got is having the only professional club to have their first game waterlogged.
Yeah.
I love that stat. That's a cool you thing.
That was unreal, though.
What are you expecting then, Dave? Are you thinking we buck the trend and bring 3 points back? Are you thinking actually, if the last 10 years or anything to go by, a point would be quite nice?
Yeah. I mean, the natural football supporter pessimism means I never expect Cowley to win. Ever. Apart from the promotion season in the Championship when we won like 22 games in a row. I never expect us to win. I think that's just a lot of football fans feel the same. But no, I think it'd be good to set down a marker. And like we said, I think the first 11 are good. From what Danny was saying, it sounds like Teddy Bishop might be fit, and I think if he is fit enough to start, he will start to really get control of the game. If you remember last year, I know he was playing, but there are a few other factors at play as well, but we just didn't get control. If you remember that first half, I don't think we touched the ball. Anytime we touched the ball was when Lisby put it over from 5 yards, I think. And Accrington, I think, are going to struggle. Why have I said that?
There's a very Thank you very much for
sorry, everyone who's making the journey with us for the incoming 3. But no,
stay at home now.
They're gonna struggle this year, I believe. I think we've got a good first 11 who should go at them. We look to have a relatively clean bill of health. I think we'll change the formation. I think it'll be different from Southampton. Obviously, it'll be a very different game. I think we'll go to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
I think if you can, Bishop will come back in. And I think Digby will come back in in the midfield, just to give that physicality that we're going to need in these sort of games. And if we can play like we did against Southampton, and if Thorne and Brad can link up like they did and look as sharp as they did, I think there's no reason we can't win. And I think for the first time in League 2, as we've discovered, We're going to win on opening day. We're going to say it.
Well, there you go. Very positive indeed from you, Dave. And you mentioned Teddy Bishop there and Danny Cowley talking about him being fit and potentially available for selection. He also spoke about the importance of Teddy Bishop's ability to carry the ball, and that was one of the main factors behind dropping Jack Payne a little bit deeper against Southampton, is that he's able to get hold of the ball and carry it. And against Accrington, potentially bringing Teddy Bishop in to keep hold of the ball and try and gain a little bit of control in the middle of the park would probably be something that Danny's looking to do. But Danny's interview was quite telling on the website and with BBC Essex today. With us recording the preview episode so much later, we can wait until the U's media commitments are done and sort of act upon them, which is really, really nice. So we will tend to reflect on some of the interviews that Danny does immediately before the game, because I think it gives us a good insight to what he's thinking and gives us something to react to. So the quote I've taken from Danny Cowley is that the last 2 seasons have been tough. We're really motivated to try and have a better start than we've had in the last 2 seasons. And we understand the challenges in front of us because we still have a lot of recruitment to do. Our aim is, come Saturday, to be the best version of us. So, Si, Danny talks about being motivated to start better than the last 2 seasons, which a lot of people attribute that start of each season being the reason that we didn't make the playoffs. So with that in mind, how important is it that the U's get out of the blocks quickly this year?
You've got to. I think any league, especially League 2, how tough it's going to be and how competitive it can be at times. The earlier you get the points on the board, start showing people what you're about, it then psychologically gives you the edge, because teams are actually, they've won X amount, drawn X amount. This is side that's go in place this year. We've got to go there. We've got to up our game, etc. Whereas if you start badly, teams then become very much, they lost this game, or at least they lose this game. Before you know where you are, can very quickly become a recurring theme. I think a lot of Danny's interviews are very positive. Obviously, he's a guy, glass is always half full, isn't he? You've got to take some of it, not with a pinch of salt, because that's the wrong way to put it, but he's always going to put the most positive spin he can on things. But they're motivated and up for it. Well, that should just be a given, because it's their job and they're playing football. And they're looking for a better start. Well, as we've already alluded to, how poor our first games have been. Anybody would want a better start than what it has the last couple of years. So, yeah, hopefully it's infectious on the players. They understand where is it. They're all in the right mindset. But yeah, we do need to the quicker we get going, the usage. Normally it takes us, 5 to 10 games, isn't it? That's when near the end of the season, like you say, we're X amount of points off. Look back to the first games. Funny enough, the maths don't really work out, and hence why they've got the playoffs. So, yeah, start strong. And hopefully what Danny says comes true.
Hopefully so. And another interesting part of that quote, Dave, is that there's still lots of recruitment to do. How complete does the U's squad going into the Accrington game feel to you?
Well, the main thing we're lacking is pace, I feel. Obviously, Oscar Thorne has got that, but there's no one else really. I mean, it's not like Harry Anderson's game. Kyan Lisby is very, very young, very raw. So I think it wouldn't be fair on him to rely on him in any way going into this season. So I think that's what they'll mainly be looking for. We'll still be looking for a number 9, but like we've said, if Brad can replicate his performance against Southampton, he's going to be a real force in League 2. I think we haven't seen Chiwamni yet. And I think back 4, we're kind of set. We've got we've almost got 4 centre backs, and we've got 4 fullbacks really, with Rob Hunt and Kane Vincent-Young, to be fair, being able to cover both sides. And we didn't actually mention in the Southampton review Jake Leake. I thought when he came on, he was really positive.
Really attacking, wasn't it?
Really attacking. Had a really good chance. It was a lot closer than we weren't sure how close it was from the far end. But looking on the TV, it was
close, yeah.
pretty
It
close.
was close, but I had a clear angle of it from where I was sat. You knew it wasn't going in because it was sort of drifting away from the post.
Yeah, but
it was close.
But no, I thought he was really positive when he came on as well. See, I think we're set at the back. I think we're pretty set in midfield with the emergence of Milton Oney. Obviously, I'll say it, so Ronnie Harvey's there in the background, just waiting for his chance. A coiled spring. So yeah, another number 9 and a bit of pace to bring on out wide. But really, that's probably 2 or 3 players.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah, and Danny mentions that the loan market is a market that he's dipped into every window that he's been with Colchester United. Similarly, when he was at Lincoln, he dipped into the loan market very successfully too. So I'm sure there are incomings. He did mention that he was hoping to have some incomings ahead of the Accrington game. We're recording at 9:45 on a Thursday evening, and no,
sorry guys.
Yeah, it was meant to be 9 o'clock. It's
a glimpse behind the curtain up in
that
absolute shambles tonight.
It's because Dave logged in from San Francisco.
This is my background is the Golden Gate Bridge for some reason.
Dave had a disaster in terms of tech, but it's fine. But there's been no transfer rumours or announcements as of yet. But he also mentions the Southampton efforts, attitude and mentality, and how that can make the U's competitive in League Two, how that character can really make the U's a force to be reckoned with. Is that probably one of the biggest takeaways from the Cup game so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fans who what we're going to do here, the squad's not really complete. I think there's a lot of negativity around the place. So actually having that Southampton performance with the players going out and showing absolutely no fear, putting the performance they did, steadied the ship a little bit, and kind of giving us the right, this is what we can go into seasons to do. We can replicate that form against Accrington. You'd like to think we'll have no real dramas. But there's always a but, there's never call you. We do have that really annoying habit of playing up to good teams.
Here we go.
And then down.
Yeah.
First one of the season.
And no disrespect to Accrington, but you're not going to put them anywhere near the same bracket as what Southampton.
Yeah, I don't think that's disrespect.
Bolts are sort of
they'll be like, what?
So I don't know, how dare you don't put us in the same
bracket? Yeah.
So that will be, I think, interesting psychologically, is the players can play their game as opposed to play the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cause I think it was really the thing about Southampton. It wasn't just like a backs to the wall, and eventually they knocked the door down. We played. We outplayed them, and I think that's more. Do you remember the Ipswich League Cup game where we won 1-0?
Yeah, I missed that. I was in Italy. But yeah, go ahead.
But that was obviously it felt great at the time, but I think that was a bit of a. It kept Wayne Brown in the job for longer than he should have been, because we were absolutely battered that game. We scored a goal because one of their players misplaced the back pass.
Raheem Harper.
Yeah, and Hannah got onto it, slid it in, and then we were absolutely battered. It was backs to the wall, and it was great to beat Ipswich, but it wasn't. It didn't suggest we were a team on the up. We certainly weren't at that time. But just going back, we went toe to toe with Southampton, and even when they got their goals, like I said, it wasn't because they did play. They did put us on the back foot a bit more in the second half, but we were still trying to play. We were still in the game, and even after they scored the first one, we created 1 or 2 chances. Harry Anderson's header over the bar, but I think the nature of the defeat. If it had been a defeat where we'd effectively been hammered, eventually they knocked us over, I wouldn't be feeling as positive as I am. No, but the fact we showed we can do. Certain players stepped up that we were maybe 50-50 on. And I think I think, that performance was, I'm going and expecting to win.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all, and I think getting a result, even though the result wasn't what Hughes fans would have wanted, the performance was, and if you can take key elements of that performance and put them into practice against Accrington Stanley, then you've got the makings of a really good result. But looking at the selection calls that Danny and Nicky Cowley could be making, Bradley Ionvian looked really sharp against Southampton, particularly early doors. Second half, he seemed to taper a little bit, but it did also look like he sort of twinged a hamstring over towards the West Stand, which he came off shortly after that. I feel like that hindered him a little bit, but he looked sharp first half. Do you feel like he's done enough to get the start as number 9 against Accrington?
I think so. I think the only big change we'll see will be midfield, then Tucker dropping back into the back line. Whether or not Bishop's fully fit to actually come and start, or if you could look to see him off the bench. I think it would be Digby would definitely get midfield. Not that he could be Bishop or Milton next to him. And everyone else, I think, would just pretty much pick themselves, because what we started with, apart from the Tucker and Hunt midfield bit, was our strongest lineup. So I think that's the only change they're going to do. Tucker will drop back in next to Raggett, and then who would play midfield? Digby and either Bishop or Milton.
Did you see Rob Hunt drop into the bench, Si?
I was going to say, there's an argument for Rob Hunt.
There's an argument for Rob Hunt or
I think he will drop
Milton
to the bench, to be honest.
if Bishop isn't fit.
The argument. I think Danny likes having Rob Hunt on the bench, because you can bring him into, if the game's going either way, if it's a game you're still looking to win, you can bring him on to steady the midfield to allow other players to push forward, and you can play the defensive holding midfielder. If it's a game we're really dominating, you can bring him on as a safe pair of hands, so to speak, to just marshal the midfield or the defence as needed. And with him on the bench obviously gives the option that you can replace 2 positions with him as who's needed and what changes are to be made.
Yeah, certainly. And it's good to have that versatility. I mean, really, we've got 4 or 5 choices going into that particular role, with Paul Digby, Rob Hunt, Milton Oney, Teddy Bishop, and of course, Ronnie Harvey. You've then got Ben Perry to come back in September, who will add another element to the Hughes midfield. So I agree with what Dave said earlier in the podcast, that midfield we seem pretty solid, as well as the full-back roles. But Dave, Si thinks that Bradley's definitely earned enough to get the nod ahead of the Accrington game. What would you like to see from Bradley if he does get that opportunity? Is this the season that he can establish himself as the Hughes first choice striker before any business is done to bring in another centre forward?
He just needs to do what he did against Southampton and not do too much. Sometimes he is guilty of overplaying, and I do wonder that maybe against Southampton, and knowing the quality he's up against, that sort of almost forced him to simplify his game. And if he's got if he up against a League 2 defence, he might try and force it a bit more. But I'm not saying he will. Hopefully that he would have learned a lot. And if he plays he won loads. I think he won every header against.
Yeah, he won loads in the air.
He's I know he's not a current England international, but Harwood Bellis is an England defender. And he won every header. He held the ball up. He battled well. So if he can carry on with that mindset as well, because he really played for the team against Southampton, and playing like that, he got his chance as well. So I think playing like that, he'll, like I said, if he could, and the 2 defenders, are a bit less technical, so he might not get as much joy in the air. But if he plays, if he plays like he did, he can really be a focal point at League 2 level.
Yeah, he can, and he could certainly provide a threat for Colchester United that make us a bit more robust, which certainly is the game plan going into this season. Dave, are there any other changes from the Southampton 11 that you would make ahead of the Accrington game?
Like we said, I think the form we'll go to a standard 4-2-3-1. I think, like I mentioned earlier on, I think we'll want to get control of the game. So I think if Bishop's fit enough to do 45 minutes or 60 minutes max, I think he'll start the game to give us that control, and then maybe, depending on what the game state is, if we're looking to push still, bring on Milton Oney. If we're looking to shore it up, you've got Rob Hunt there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, and it'll be Thorne, Payne, Anderson, and Brad up front. I mean, you look at it, that's a solid team.
It is a solid team, and it's a side that have no reason not to go away at Accrington and come back with 3 points. Obviously, Hughes fans will be concerned about depth and a little bit worried about what would happen if there's injuries or suspensions. And Danny has addressed that in his interviews both this week and last week, where he's said recruitment will be late. World Cup year, the teams higher up in the pecking order haven't done their business yet, and that has almost a trickle-down effect to League Two clubs like Colchester United. So as long as that starting 11 are still fit and available, the U's are always in with a shout. But with Accrington Stanley comes a little bit of a look into the opposition. There's no opposition view this week. The person who I usually speak to about Accrington is very selfishly on holiday. So that is a shame and poor from them, because, I wanted an opposition view. But,
First game of the season on holiday.
Back for the game, but back for the game. But there's no issue with that at all, because I've done a little bit of research. So Accrington finished 16th in League Two last season, did a lot of their summer business early and kept a core of last season's squad together. They come into the game after a defeat in the League Cup to Crewe. Last season, Colchester United lost to Accrington Stanley 1-0 away, but we did beat them at home. It was the John Terry game. It was that one. So we tend to maybe do better at home than we do away from home. But what sort of test are you expecting from an Accrington side that has kept much of its core together and got a lot of its recruitment done early, Dave?
A physical test, and it's they go man to man.
Yeah,
which is teams that do that have given us problems over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And Danny's aware of that. He picks up on it whenever we are in it. But we're a much more robust side now. So I think much of the recruitment has been to be able to take those teams on a bit more. So I think we'll be a bit more direct than we were last year. And I think having Oscar Thorne, we said when he was with us the first time, we've got a bit of the Greg Halfords about him. If you remember back in the day, that outball to Halford, and he'd win the header and it would just get us 60 yards up the pitch in seconds. And I think we'll see a lot of that. You notice it's not his game really, but Raggett has been in possession a lot at the back with his, from the left-hand side, switching it, sort of dragging the game across to his side, then switching over to the right. So I think they've been working on that. I think that's something they've worked on that throughout the pre-season. Obviously, that was with Thorne not there, so having him there means that's a much more valid tactic. And pushing Digby up as well. Like I mentioned in a previous pod, Digby's been the one getting further forward, and I imagine when he's been playing with, whether it's been Bishop or someone else, he's been getting further forward, and I imagine to be there when we do make those sort of direct plays, to have his physicality there whether it's to win the ball or to be there in the second phase, if we can sort of get it and then get the ball into the box. So I think we're going to see a different Cole U to, not completely different, but a slightly different play style to last year. And I think the players we brought in are really suited to it.
Yeah, they're tailor-made not to make the same mistakes we made last season, which is a positive. But Si, I mentioned that Accrington did a lot of their summer recruitment quite early. We're talking end of June, early July, as well as keeping sort of the core of their side the previous season together. Does that make it more difficult for Colchester United because they've had more time to gel over a pre-season, as well as having a group of players that know each other really well?
I suppose it's yes and no. So yes, because they've had more time together, they've had more time on the training pitch, they're able to get obviously their dynamics, their chemistry sorted. But at the same time, because everything is done early and they've kept the core together, the actual scouting to work out who we're going to go up against will be easier because there's not the element of, oh, are they going to add X, Y, Z to the squad before we see them? Are they going to try this? Are they going to do this? Who's going to play there? Who's going to play where? Because they are very set. So if anything, it's almost like from a scouting and setup point of view, playing a team in November, because everything, they are very set in what they're going to do. But that said, with it being a new look Cole U, it'd be a good test to see if we are the more, not dirty team, but more
streetwise is the term that Danny's been using.
Streetwise team, so it'll be a very good test. And yeah, if we obviously, if Tucker's now he's back and Raggett, you can keep Carl Stockton quiet. I think you're going to nullify a lot of their attack. He only played, I think, 60 minutes against Crewe. I don't know if that's because that was their plan to keep him fit this weekend or if it just came off injured. So it'll be interesting to see how they do set up. But I think Danny and Nicky will have a very, very good idea of how they're going to set up, how they're going to play, and what threats they're going to bring.
Yeah, John Doolan didn't seem too disappointed to lose against Crewe, so I imagine, the focus is on the league rather than the League Cup side. But we'll round the podcast off with some predictions. Si, we'll start with you. Accrington Stanley versus Colchester United. Give us your score prediction and goal scorer.
It's going to be 2-2. And it's going to be a Raggett and Payne.
Raggett and Payne. I feel like that is going to be a recurring theme throughout the season. Dave, score predictions and goal scorers for you?
I think we'll win 2-0. I'm confident in the defence, confident in the goalkeeper. His distribution as well shouldn't be underestimated with how we're looking to play now. I think we'll win 2-0. Jack Payne's going to get a penalty and Oscar Thorne's going to get his first goal.
Going for Thorne, I like it. I'm going to go for 3-1. I'll be very positive, and I will go for. I'll go for Raggett. I think you're right, so I think we're going to target set pieces, and Raggett's going to pop up with a few goals. I'll go a clean sweep with Jack Payne, and I'm going to go towards the end of the game. I think Milton Oney's going to come on and chip in with a goal too. So 3-1 Colchester is my prediction. But Si, Dave, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your thoughts and insights. And hopefully Dave and I are correct and Si, you are wrong and the U's get the 3 points. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.